this AL Central betting picks edition of the MLB Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Kalshi. Make real money predicting sports. Kalshi is available in all 50 states, and you get $20 free with the promo code SGPN. That's Kalshi, promo code SGPN. Welcome, everybody, to the MLB Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. My name is Malcolm Bamford, coming to you from Newcastle upon Tyne in the northeast of England. Today is Wednesday, February the 25th. We are here with number 5 of 6 in the divisional preview series, and it is the turn of the AL Central. Joining me a few hours before he goes on the most incredible mission is Mr. Dylan Rockford. D-Rock, how are you feeling? Are you all nervous, excited, or what's going on?
It's a little combination of both. Good to be with you. Never traveled that far. The farthest I've been is to Great Britain, to the UK. But 10 hours, then I got to take another connecting flight. So I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do.
I can't believe you're doing this. This is insane. If anyone missed the last show, Dylan's going to Bulgaria. Was it UFC?
No, it's Senshi, the promotion. It's a kickboxing tournament. It's a Grand Prix.
I've no idea what any of that means. And how have you got your foot in the door? Why do they need you there? You're not. I mean, what are you bringing to this party, Dylan?
Yeah, so just like how we freelance, you and me, with SGPN, I freelance for a combat sports company called CST, and they've already asked us to do another event, and we couldn't do it, so they asked us for this one, and they asked around, and I was the one that said, I was the fucking crazy one to say, yeah, I'll go. I'll take a free trip. So
are you going by yourself, or are you taking anyone with you?
No, I'm taking my girlfriend, and she's my videographer. So
right. Well, just be aware, Dylan. I mean, I'm not registering an official complaint at this point, but next time you get a job in Europe, you don't ask me to come with you. We will absolutely fall out. That'll be the last conversation we have. There's no way you and your girlfriend in Bulgaria are going to have a better time than me and you would have done in Bulgaria.
Oh, I know. I know.
Write that down. Whatever the time is now, write that down, write a note, and be fully aware that next time it's me and you. I can pretend to videograph things, whatever that is.
Yeah, just record.
Fine. Right. Good. I've just.
Are you going anywhere?
No, not that I can think of. I've got a little meeting with our esteemed leader about the World Cup in an hour, so there's a 1 in a million chance he's going to ask me to go to America to cover the World Cup, but it is a 1 in a million chance. But there's always the hope, Dylan.
Well, if you do, the final is in New Jersey, which is 5 minutes from my house. And
well, unfortunate. Had you asked me to go to Bulgaria, Dylan,
I know.
I would have taken you, but otherwise you can get in the sea. I'll take someone else. I'll take your girlfriend. Is that?
Yeah.
We'll go to the football. I've watched loads of football tonight. I've just finished commentary on a chaotic Champions League game between Atalanta and Dortmund, which finished 4-3. I thought I was going to go to extra time and delay this show, but there was a last-minute penalty, and I have just turned on Real Madrid and Benfica, which I think they're just going to kick 7 shades of shit out of each other if last week's game's anything to go by. But MLB is creeping towards us for division previews down. This is the penultimate one. We've got the AL Central to look at tonight, Dylan. All of the SGPN picks and podcasts are on the easy-to-access app, so don't forget that one. The AL Central, it's a bit of a weird one because it's not the most exciting division in terms of pure baseball, but as often in MLB, the divisions that aren't going to have the best teams in them are a better landscape for betting because they're just more competitive. There's more angles. You've got more 3 and 4 runner races than you have with the likes of the Dodgers, etc. So there was loads of half decent angles in this one. General overview, Dylan, were you feeling this division, or was anything jump out like instinctively at you?
No, nothing really. It's kind of a mediocre division, if I'm being honest. I was on with Scott on Monday, and we were talking about the AL East, and we were like, it's a three horse race, and you're always gonna have that one team that you're gonna just be like, with the NL East, you're gonna have the Nationals. We could check that off as a win. The AL East, you don't really have that. The NL West, you have the Rockies. You could just chalk that up as a win. This division, not so really. Maybe the White Sox, but stay tuned. I think they're going to be a little more competitive than we think.
Yeah, I didn't mind the White Sox at all. Yeah, I've got a couple of, one particular really big fade in this division. And we'll start at the top. We'll start with the divisional favourites, who are the Detroit Tigers. For the World Series, they are 25-1, 11-1 to win the American League, plus 120 for the AL Central, and the playoff race, minus 200, yes, plus 185, no, with a total of 85.5. Let me just say hello to Callum in the chat. Callum is a Premier League Gambling Podcast regular, squad number 9, in fact, in the Premier League Gambling Podcast. No idea what he's doing here. Well, he should be watching the Champions League unless he's that desperate for a bit of MLB action. So Detroit finished last year. What a weird season. This was just a weird division. There was a lot of odd things happening around the AL Central last year. They finished 87-75. They finished in second place behind the Guardians after having an incredible first half and then a ridiculous second half. So in terms of the roster, they didn't lose too much in terms of big names. Chris Paddock, Paul Sewald out with the bullpen. There's a really long list of average names that left, but they added the rotation pieces, like big ones as well. Framber Valdez was an excellent addition. Justin Verlander, who finished the season very well. He finished 2025 very well. Kenny Jansen as the closer. They re-signed Gleyber Torres in that lineup. So they're coming off back-to-back very similar seasons. 86, then 87 wins. They lost to Cleveland in 24. They then lost to Seattle in 15 innings in 25. And the story of last year was just the collective drop-off. They were all hot at the same time in the first half. And then they were all freezing cold at the same time in the second half. They just absolutely fell in a hole. I like the lineup. It's young. There is a lot of potential upside. It's the inconsistency that they have to address was the issue last year. Because they were everyone's darling, weren't they, in the first half of the season? They were an absolute darling. And then in the second half, not so much. They struck out a lot. They were 28th in MLB overall, striking out. They were 30th in steals, so they didn't add that to the game. I still think it's pretty average. What they're banking on, because they haven't added much offensively, is organic development, which is a risk because it's not a given. So I don't mind it. I think they're going to be okay, but that's what they've sort of banked on. They've hung their hat on that. There's going to be some organic development from this sort of young core. The rotation, Tarek Skubal's obviously the star. They had quite a clumsy arbitration process with Tarek Skubal, but that should be water under the bridge. He got paid 32 mil by the arbitrator. And the rotation, this is going to be the difference maker for them in this division. Valdez, we just mentioned, should be fine. Extreme ground ball pitcher. Jack Flaherty, question mark, but he's fine as an SP3. Verlander, who finished the season well, as we said. And I like Casey Mize. Is your SP number 5, Casey Mize is fine. The bullpen's okay. Drew Anderson back from KBO. 7 million quid they paid for him as well, by the way. Possible swingman, actually, Drew Anderson. Not too much in the minors. Kevin McGonigal, we might see, and Max Clark, maybe a little bit too soon. They're a solid team. The projection of 85.5 really, it's the absence of alternatives in this division that leads you to the Tigers, because there's not an awful lot to take them on. I think plus 120 looks like a decent price. What I like is this is a parlay piece. If you were going to have a 3 or 4 team accumulator, a 3 or 4 team divisional parlay, then Detroit is plus 120 looks all right. Like, there's a lot of shorties we just mentioned. I don't mind this at all. I just think they've got kind of 5 or 6 games in hand of their nearest rival. So without being spectacular, I don't mind them as a favourite here. I think they'll probably win the division, and they'll probably win it by half a dozen games, Dylan.
I think from a nostalgic standpoint, you mentioned Justin Verlander. I am happy to see him go back, because when he does go to Cooperstown in the Hall of Fame, he will wear a Detroit Tiger jersey. So I am happy that he went back there. Instead of laying money here, I see minus 115, minus 110 on the 85.5 win total. To be honest, I'd rather take Detroit to just win the division like you, and for them to make the playoffs. I see minus 140 to make the playoffs. It makes a little more sense, because the way I looked at it, there is a world where they go under this total but still win the division. So I think they're rightfully the favorite to win the division, especially after the moves they made to kind of upgrade the rotation like you just mentioned. I think the big thing for me is they can't have what happened last season, blowing a 15.5 game lead. They lost the division. If that happens again, I could see the Tigers possibly being sellers at the deadline. Before I finish, what are your thoughts? Because if they're not what the market says they are, and they're about a 500 team, you got to imagine they're going to trade Tariq Skubal, right?
I don't know, because I don't know what situation would have to develop where they're still not going to be in the hunt. Because even if they are a 500 team, they're probably still only going to be 1 or 2 behind whoever's leads in the division. Whether it's Cleveland, I can't see bringing.
Wouldn't you want to get something in return for the best pitcher in baseball? Whether you think that's Paul Skeens or Tariq Skubal, do you think you'd rather want, from a business standpoint, get something for him, or just at the end of his year let him just walk? Because he's going to reset the market. You know what I mean?
They've got a good young core. They've got enough going forward. Like I said, they've gone for some organic development here. I don't think they will be in that position.
Okay.
I think they're going to be I think you're right that they could go under. 84 wins could be enough. They could go under and still win the division. So we'll see.
I mean, for me, I think the lineup was the biggest culprit for the letdown. You mentioned it. They're really banking on some young guys, and they're really running back basically the same offense here in 2026. I'm okay on the bullpen. It ranked 27th in the league. They walk a lot of batters too. They signed 38-year-old Kenley Jansen as well to be their closer. So maybe he'll help a little, but this is a weak division. I think the rotation will get him to the finish line. Offense is the one thing that does worry me, but I like this team. They should win the division. Will they? We'll see.
We will see. We'll move on. Let me tell you about Kalshi, the real money prediction market, legal in all 50 states. Tons of trading options for your favorite sports. Loads of other markets, including politics, entertainment, weather. New Kalshi customers get $20 when they use the promo code SGPN. That's KALSHI. Promo code SGPN. And Rhythm has been on a heater for college and NBA. Really easy to sign up, run predictions off the house model, or make your own and play with the sliders. The thing to do here is use the promo code SGPN25 when you download the Rhythm app for 25% off your first month. Download Rhythm, use the promo code SGPN25. Second in here is the Kansas City Royals. Coming off an 82 and 80 season, Kansas City are 40-1 to win the World Series, 16-1 to win the American League, plus 225 to win this division, plus 160 to make the playoffs, minus 227 to miss, with a total, Dylan, of 82.5. Go for it.
Yeah, I think again, I feel like this is another situation where the number is kind of spot on, and it wouldn't surprise me if this team goes under or goes under. I feel like I need a better price for them to make the playoffs as well. Plus 120. I need at least a 2-1 to get there. You know, I don't usually give out player props. I know that's Adam and Scott's thing, but 20-1 price tag on Matt Quintana, the manager of the year. That's a look. I mean, if the Royals clear this win total and potentially win the division for the first time in probably over 10 years, he's gonna have a case for AL manager of the year. So 20-1, I think if you're looking at value, I think that's something that I would put a little pizza bet on. But I do feel like this team has some upside, and you know, this division could be closer than I think most people think between Kansas City and Detroit. You know, after having one of the worst outfields in baseball last season, Royals really tried to upgrade. You got Isaac Collins. He came fourth in NL Rookie of the Year in 2025. They're also banking on a big second-year jump from Jack Cagalaran. He's a really good batter as well. So if the output from this outfield, I feel like, shows any improvements, I think this lineup could be really solid. Obviously, you have the superstar in Bobby Witt Jr., Miguel Garcia. He's coming off a breakout season. Carter Jansen, he's a really good rookie that the team has high expectation for. And we all know how good Salvatore Perez, hopefully he has some pop still left in him. And a big factor is this outfield defense has moved in this year. So I think that's really important. I think a lot of the home runs, that because the Kansas City was a dead under team last year, especially at home. Now with the fences moving in, I think we can see some overs here in Kansas City this year. So I'm looking at that. And, you know, Cole Reagans, he only made 13 starts last season. If he's healthy, this team can, I think, be sneaky good. So you got Michael Wacha. I think he's decent. I think Seth Lugo, he could have a bounce back year. I'm higher on Noah Cameron than I think most people. He was about a 500 guy. And you got Chris Bubich as well. I like this team. I think they got some upside.
Yeah, like you've taken a lot of my notes there. And I do agree with you. There's nothing much not to like about them. They hung around the middle third of the league in every category last year, which is reflected in their 82 wins. And that's just about spun on. Nothing sort of happened by accident. They lost quite a few. Michael Lorenzen, we used to like, didn't we? Mike Yastrzemski, MJ Melendez, who ended up at your New York Mets. Mark Carntit, one of your favourite ex-New York Mets. Frazier, Harvey, Randall Gritch. So a lot of names gone. Isaac Collins, interesting trade for a player who picked up Rookie of the Year votes. You're absolutely right. Lane Thomas, we used to get some chat now and again about him. I wrote the word superstar down about Bobby Witt, just exactly like you said. He's a 6.7 WAR player. Michael Garcia, leading off, is finally fulfilling his promise as well. The two upside players, you mentioned Jack Caglione and Vinny Pasquantino, the Pasquatch is the other one. Yeah. They're the two that need to take the step forward, sitting in the top half of that order. Carter Jansen, another one. He's got potential if he makes the team, which I think he might just do, 22-year-old. The rotation, though, Reagans could be the stud. You're right. He pitched 60 innings last year. The year before that's when I backed him to have the most strikeouts in MLB. He threw 186 innings in 24 with 223 Ks and a 3.14 ERA. Strikeout leader at 16-1 is live for Cole Reagans. Like Bubich, Wacha, Seth Lugo, I don't mind them. It's a SP3 and an SP4. Wacha and Lugo are absolutely fine. And then Noah Cameron, and I think the same as you. I don't mind him. I think he can take a step forward. The bullpen's average, which is fine. And the depth-wise, they've got a ton of identical players. This bottom half of the lineup, they've got load. They're all bits and bobs. They're all exactly the same. So this not too much is going to change. I think the projections are reliable. 82.5. I don't see where the variance comes from, good or bad, because they've got a lot of replacement level players there. So 81 wins is absolutely fine. I undoubtedly think they'll be better than Cleveland and Minnesota. So you can factor them into an exacta bet. Detroit to win the division. I do think Detroit will have 3 or 4 games in hand over them. Detroit is an exacta over Kansas City in this division is plus 325. Because, like I say, it's a lack of alternatives. There's an ignorance of alternatives in this division. So that was my way of factoring Kansas City in, as well as the Cole Reagan's player prop, if you are that way inclined. Next up is Cleveland Guardians. I keep having to go check the front page of my notes here because I've even made myself a contents page. These are how many previews I've done. Look at all those, Dylan. And let me tell you, the Cleveland Guardians are on page 16. So if I turn to page 16, there they are. Look at that. I'm so well prepared. World Series for Cleveland, 50-1, 20-1 to win the American League, plus 325 to win this division. Playoffs is yes, plus 190, no, minus 250. And the over-under is at 78.5. Last season, they finished on 88 wins, despite being one of the worst teams in baseball. It was fucking weird. They chased down Detroit like they'd been shot out of a cannon. 88 wins. The expected win-loss was 80 and 82. They had a run differential of -6, which is quite incredible. And just like every little luck metric, the extra innings. Now, I know extras and one-run games aren't luck metrics, but I do like to see them. You think they'd balance out, especially because Cleveland aren't very good. 12 and 6 in extras, 26 and 20 in one-run games. So there's another 12 games that they've kind of fell on the right side of. So everything was lopsided. Every heads or tails that they called, they got right last year. Normal regression sort of brings that down to 78, which is where the books have that total at the minute. They've added next to nothing. The 33-year-old Rhys Hoskins and a couple of bullpen arms. The lineup last year, batting average 29th, OBP 29th, runs scored 28th. How do you win a division when you're 28th in runs scored? Like, it's absolutely baffling. Bullpen was fine, and the fielding was fine. I'll give him that. We know Jose Ramirez will be good. Stephen Kwan is okay. Bo Naylor is okay. That's it. The rest of it's rubbish. The rotation is a bit more reliable. Not dissimilar to Kansas City's, actually. I don't mind Gavin Williams, Tanner Bybee, and Joey Cantillo. And like I said, the bullpen is fine. The case you can make for Cleveland, if you want to make a case for Cleveland, it's that everyone else happens to be rubbish. That's how Cleveland can win, is if everyone else sort of drops off. But if Detroit are in any way serviceable, and if Kansas City are okay, I think Cleveland are goosed. So the projection in the wins is about right, 78.5. I think they might win more than Minnesota. That would be my angle. To finish exactly third in the division, there's plus 230. Because I've got them clearly below Kansas City and Detroit, and I've got them clearly above Minnesota. That's not a pick I'll be playing. I can't imagine there'll be any of that in my portfolio. But it is, if you wanted a Cleveland pick, if you're a Cleveland fan or you just want to root against them, that's the only real angle I could find on them, was to finish third in division plus 230. So, Dylan, did you find anything a little bit more fancy than that?
I'm very pessimistic about this team this year, and I think you hit it on the head. Maybe we will see some regression from this Cleveland team. They won the last 2 division titles, and my number came out to around 75, 76 wins for this team this year. The Guardians did almost nothing, to your point earlier, to improve this roster. You know, they're banking on, I love him. I think if without him, they probably win like 50, 60 games. Like, he's that good, Jose Ramirez. Like, they're banking on a 33-year-old Ramirez to carry this lineup once again. They ranked 28th in the majors with a WRC plus of 87 last year. And you mentioned it. There's only 3 guys, and one of them's not even a power hitter in Stephen Kwan. So this is just not a lineup I feel comfortable betting on to win the 3rd straight division. I also don't like the rotation like I did in recent years. You know, the rotation, they ranked 17th in the MLB in fielding independent last year after ranking 24th in that metric in 2024. So I don't like the rotation either. Maybe I'm wrong about this team for a 3rd straight year, but I really do think we'll see some regression. So I'm on the under, and we'll see about Minnesota because I think I'm a little higher than you on Minnesota.
Oh, you're definitely. If you're not lower than a worm's willy on Minnesota, you're higher than me. Then, John Cullifay wants the Guardians. He must be a Cleveland fan. There's no way he's betting on the Guardians if he's not an actual fan. Plus 430 for the division on FanDuel is John's play. Go Guards, he says. Okay, we'll move on to these Minnesota Twins. Let me tell you about Underdog. Got you covered for Pick'em for almost every sport. Underdog has just increased their payouts. 2 pick entries now pay 3.5 times your money, and 3 pick entries pay 6.5 times your money. That's good. Underdog has brand new offer. Play $5 and get $75 in bonus funds. Sign up with the code MLB SGPN. And we're brought to you by Novig, America's #1 sports prediction market. You get the best prices on Novig. Download the Novig app, get $50, spend $5. The promo code is SGPN. Get in on the action with Novig, promo code SGPN. Okay, fourth in is Minnesota Twins. Hang on, I need to check my contents page. Page number 10, Dylan. This is fucking exciting, this. There we go. Minnesota Twins for the World Series are 100 to 1. To win the American League, 40 to 1. The AL Central, 9 to 1. To make the playoffs, 5 to 1. Minus 800 to miss, with a total of 73.5. Okay, Dylan. 70 wins last year. You tell me why you like him before I tell you why I don't.
Yeah, well, shop around. I see a 72.5 at minus 115, and I know I was coming in doing the work a few days ago. Like I'm not really high on Minnesota, and surprisingly, I found myself on them. My numbers came out to around 75, 76 wins, and I think the perception of Minnesota is much lower than it should be. The Twins, they traded away 10, 11 MLB players last summer. 5 relief pitchers, a bullpen that stacked up amongst. They had a really good bullpen. It was probably a top 5, top 10 bullpen in the league. And now they moved on from Carlos Correa as well. And as a result, I think the market over adjusted. They dropped 11 games compared to last year's win total. And I mean, yeah, the Twins are clearly in rebuild mode, but even a team in rebuilding mode can be, I think, frisky in a weak AL Central. So, like I said, my projection came out to around 75, 76 wins for this club. And I think the health of guys like Brian Buxton, Royce Lewis, I think it's predominant. If they're at full health, this is a solid lineup. I like Brian Buxton at top. Josh Bell could hit 20 home runs. Matt Wallner, he could have 22 home runs or so. Royce Lewis is a 20 guy as well. I look Brooks Lee at shortstop. He's a young guy. So I don't know. I think this lineup is better than Cleveland. And especially a team that's expected 6.5 more wins. I just don't see that. So I think this team could get third place more than Cleveland. So I have more faith in this roster than most people. So I'm going to be on the over. It's unfortunate Joe Ryan did get hurt, but Bailey Ober, Simone Woods, Richardson, Taj Bradley, Zebby Matthews. So I don't know. I'm higher on them than I am Cleveland, if I'm being honest.
I kind of feel the exact opposite, Dylan. I will point out early on, I just talked about that kind of luck metric that Cleveland had. It was the exact opposite with Minnesota, which I this time would attribute to them being a bad team, and that I get that conflicts. 4-11 in extras, 15-27 in one-run games. They didn't build on 23, where they had a decent chance to go forward. They've added Josh Bell and Victor Caratini this year, which is nothing. The lineup just looks weak. Luke Kishel, what we calling him, Luke Kishel, he might be okay. He's a good hitter, questionable defensively. He was all right last year. And then really the other two, with the two you mentioned, Buxton and Lewis. Buxton's brilliant. They've wasted him completely, but he can't stay healthy. And with Royce Lewis, the injuries are just taking a physical toll on him. You said the upsides there, if they stay fit. They're not going to stay fit. They're just going to miss half the season. Now, the rotation, we've always liked these names. I think it could have done with freshening up a little bit, because it is the same names. It's Joe Ryan, who I think is going to be all right, actually. Bailey Ober, Simeon Woods-Richardson we like, Taj Bradley, Tebby Matthews, Pablo Lopez, don't forget, he's good to go as well. He picked up a little injury. I think he's going to play in the WBC, actually, Pablo Lopez and Taj Bradley. So we'll see them. They held on to those players because they easily could have traded them away. Ryan, Lopez, Ober. Defensively, they look terrible. I think they're going to be poor and they're going to sell all these pitchers mid-season. That's what I think. Ryan, Lopez and Ober could all be gone. A poor first half and then the big sell-off for the Minnesota Twins. So I will get to a Minnesota Twins pick in a little while.
Real quick on a cleanup. Pablo Lopez, he's done for the year. Tommy John, so he's done. They confirmed that Lopez? They confirmed that on February 20th. So
I heard.
Look it up. Fact check me.
Yeah, well, I haven't got time to fact check now because I'm going to have to tell you about the show. Right. So anyway, listeners, I'm not your mother. Fact check that yourself. Get back to us. Chicago White Sox, who are for the World Series 500 to 1, 200 to 1 to win the AL. I was just checking because the prices are so big. You have to check what's up. 200 to 1 to win the league, 35 to 1 to win the division, 16 to 1 to make the playoffs with a total of 66 and a half. 60 wins last year for the White Sox, 102 losses. What stood out to me was that the one-run games, they played in 51 one-run games last year, won 15 of them. So there's an instant fix. Do you know what I mean? Get on the right side of, go on, even balance that out. 10's a lot. 8. Christ, there's so many more wins to be had immediately just by getting on the right side. They've let Martin Perez, Mike Clevinger go out the rotation. Mike Tauchman's gone. Tyler Alexander, who I like actually. They've added Austin Hayes, which doesn't change much. The interesting one is Munetaka Marukami, 26-year-old first baseman from NPB. Anthony Kay from the New York Mets, you might be able to tell us a little bit about as well, youngster. And Eric Fedde as well at the back end of the rotation. So in terms of the lineup, the top 5 is very young. So there's a big range of outcomes. I get that. They could take a step forward. They could all take a step back. They might all just kind of hang around where they are. But the range of outcomes is wide on this White Sox lineup. I like it. The top 5 are all sort of projected over 2 WAR players. They've got my mate Late Night Lamont in the minors as well. And Curtis Mead as a name sort of stuck down in the minors as well. So they've got some bits and bobs players. The rotation, Shane Smith, every 5 days was the White Sox first 5. He felt like he was Miguel Lonte's Monday play. That's all we ever come down to was Miguel Lonte was a Shane Smith White Sox first 5. It's a pretty low floor after that. They've kind of got 4 SP5s, all with a mid to high 4 ERA. The bullpen was actually sort of in the middle third last year in MLB. They've added Seranthony Dominguez and Sean Newcomb and Jordan Hicks. So I don't mind that at all, really. Fangraphs project them at 69 wins. So I think over 66.5 is reasonable. It's also juiced over 66.5. They could make it to 70 wins and plus 130. But I found a bet that I like better. I think they could find themselves in a battle with the Twins at the bottom of this division. That's how low I am about the Twins. That price to reach 70 wins at plus 130 also puts them in reach of the Twins. So I looked at the White Sox to finish 4th in the division, which was plus 320. But better value than that, if they are going to finish 4th, the only team that's finishing 5th is the Twins. So the Twins to finish 5th is plus 350. So that's the pick. My White Sox pick is a Twins pick, and it's Minnesota to finish 5th at plus 350.
Wow.
In the division. I think I've got another Twins pick in a minute, because that's a little wow. I've got a big wow coming as well. So let us know what you think, Dylan.
I already have a feeling of what you might be on in Minnesota. So Just like you, and I feel like everyone mother, they're on the over for the White Sox. And, I really tried to be contrarian and zig when other people are zagging, but I like the over as well. It's amazing how much can change in one year. Last spring, the White Sox, they had a preseason win total of 54 and a half after, they had the worst record in baseball, 41-21 in 2024. Last year, the White Sox showed, I feel like, some promises, especially early in the rebuild. They won 60 games. They haven't won more than 61 games since 2022, though. But I do think we can see an uptick this year. They made some notable additions this offseason. I like the guy from Japan, Murakami. I think he could be good as well. He has some power. They landed Austin Hayes. I think he's a promise in a regular corner outfielder position as well. And on the pitching side, they brought in Anthony Clay, Eric Fetty. They also made additions to the bullpen. They got their closer and Sir Anthony Dominguez. So I think this team is dependent on their young core, like Kyle Teal, Colson Montgomery. But it is nice to see this organization making moves and trying to be competitive. So I got to take the over. They won 60 games last year. My number is around 69-70. So if you get 70 at plus 130, I like that as well instead of laying minus 110. But I don't know if they'll finish fourth, but I do think they could go over their win total.
Okay, so a fairly similar handicap on the Chicago White Sox. In terms of best bets then for this division, I like the Tigers at plus 120. I don't know how much of it I'll have. If I take that, I'll be putting it in a parlay or two. They'll be sort of one of the price boosters, maybe to go in with a couple of shorties, something where I'm trying to find a 5 or 6 to 1 parlay. The Tigers at plus 120 will be in there. The exacta, which I mentioned, Detroit over Kansas City at plus 325, I think is a nice play. And getting back to that Minnesota pick that you think you know what it is, what do you think it is, Dylan?
For them to have the worst record in baseball.
You're right, yeah, because I've seen quite a lot of traction on it. Adam Rosenberg of this parish has been talking about it, and there's been a lot of money for it. I went to look at it today on my local, and it was 20s when it's been 33s, and there probably is a bigger price. So I don't know if the price has now sort of disappeared on that. I'd hate missing value. I don't think I could take something at 20s that was 33s like 48 hours ago. Minnesota finished 5th in division at plus 350. You can back them if you want to finish 4th and 5th and make a profit. If you're so low on them like me, you can cover them to finish 4th and 5th. And you'll return a little profit if they finish 4th. You return a half decent profit if they finish 5th. So there's another angle if you wanted. That'll be a lot of money to tie up over a long season. But they're my main plays here, Dylan. What were your favourites?
Yeah, so I got 2 favorites. I like your plus 130 if you want like a lock and dog. I for the dog, I really like the plus 130 to win 70 games. My projection for the White Sox came around 69-70. So I could definitely see them upticking in this young core. I like the additions that they made. I think they're going to be competitive in some games. So yeah, I'll take that for the White Sox to win 70 games at plus 130. And my favorite play, I'm going to fade the Guardians this year. Maybe I'm wrong and they prove everyone wrong for 3 straight years, but I don't like the lineup outside of 2 guys. I don't like the pitching rotation. I don't think they're a competitive team. And I just think if Jose Ramirez isn't Jose Ramirez, I think they could be the worst team in the division. That's how low I am on Cleveland. So I'll take their under win total. That's my favorite bet for this division.
Okay, thanks very much, mate. One more preview, which is scheduled for Friday, the AL West with Scott and Lonte. So stick your notifications on and be aware of that. We know that these previews have been all going out at funny times, so we will get back into a proper routine when the live start. WBC is on our horizon as well. We'll be covering that. I'm just thinking, D-Rock, the one thing you can do in Bulgaria, or you'll be able to get cheap, like, sports shirts. So you'll be able to get yourself a couple of football shirts, basketball stuff, maybe some NFL stuff. You'll definitely be able to bring home some hooky Bulgarian sports merchandise. So get yourself a Newcastle shirt, mate. I think that's just about us covered. Have you packed your suitcase?
Not at all. So I gotta go pack.
Good man. Travel light, D-Rock.
Yeah.
Well, mate, I hope you have an incredible trip. I'm more excited. I think I'm more excited than you. A great time. I'm looking forward to hearing all about
Appreciate
it.
it.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. As I've said a couple of times, start of a new season. So like, rate, review, thumbs up, 5 stars, tell a friend, all that sort of malarkey. Stick your notifications on. Good luck with anything you're betting over the next few days, and we will see you all down the road.